Let's get to some of these super chats as we line these up. Where do we begin? We begin with Bernard. At the top, we begin with Bernard. Bernard, I guess Brunson is MJ now. I would have let him score 50 and shut down the others. Second chance and rebounds in all caps are going to kill this team without Bede. Talking about Joel Embiid. Thanks, Bernard.
Yeah. I mean, look, they were in rotation a lot. Like Brunson ended up not shooting all that well. He ended up shooting 5 of 18 from the field.
With 7 turnovers.
Became respectable because of the free throw line. By and large, he was off tonight, but because he was able to get into the paint, get in the middle of that defense, spray the ball around 2 shooters, and force the big man to step up, he's right. He created a lot of open shots, and he created a lot of offensive rebounding opportunities. The Sixers do rotate perhaps more than they maybe should. I think that's been a problem for a while. I think part of that is just not only Nick Nurse and him being aggressive, although I think Nick Nurse does want to be aggressive, but I think there's a lot of players whose decision-making you maybe don't trust and they get caught in no man's land a lot, including your big in Paul Reed, including your other big in Mo Bamba, and including a lot of your wings whose decision-making, like I said, defensively, I just don't trust all that much. But yeah, they were not good defensively tonight, and I do think they probably over-rotated a little bit. I don't think he's wrong.
Yep. All right, let's go to Devon with a bunch of super chats. Dave.
Yeah, somebody got paid.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. Devon, a.k.a. Schoolboy B, says, hey, Nick Nurse, why play Batum over Ricky? He's younger, faster. He actually can score and rebound. He doesn't need Embiid on the floor to be effective. What are your thoughts on that one? We felt like he was going to come in and be a starter. You know, even though Kyle told us a little bit earlier that starting role outside of the 3 of Maxey, Embiid, and Harris, when all are healthy, are pretty much cemented. The other 2 spots are open, but we thought that Nick Batum would help out coming back.
Yeah, look, I was following the chat a little bit while you were talking there earlier, and there was a lot of angst towards Batum. And I think just like calm down a little bit. Like first game back, I think it's his first game he's played in 3 weeks and was in and out of the lineup before then. He's a player who I do think plays better with Embiid. So right now he might be a little overtasked or outside of his optimum role. But there's just not going to be a coach who's going to trust a 22-year-old undrafted rookie on a 2-way contract over a long-term vet who has a reliable outside shot and is a good passer. Like, I think Batum was bad today. Really, really bad. But I 100% understand why Nick Nurse played him, and I 100% understand why Nick Nurse is going to continue to play him as long as Nick Batum is healthy. It's just, like, Ricky's fun. He's exciting because you need that kind of developing that kind of a young player with those kind of physical tools is something that's going to be fun to watch. There's no team in the league whose coach is playing him over Nick Batum right now.
No,
it's just not.
You got to pick your spots.
It's one thing to be excited about Ricky, and I agree. That's sort of why I went out there and did that interview with him the other day, and it was great to talk to him, and go check that out on our YouTube. But it's just not. And quite frankly, he's probably not ready. Like, this Knicks defense, if he's playing 25 minutes per night, the Knicks are going to probably take the most out of his unwillingness and inability to shoot.
Yeah, Nurse is going to have to find the spots for Ricky, Devon. You have to start Nick Batum. The other thing is you have to wonder, too, as we've talked about, that hamstring injury, maybe that could maybe be bothering him a little bit, too, at some points, and then he has to be honest with the coaching staff and the medical staff and come off the floor. Hey, Nick Nurse, why are you still playing KJ Martin at small forward when he clearly plays better, closer to the basket as a power forward, and no Toby on the floor? Well, we saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it.
He played him at big minutes. Yeah.
He did. Yeah, we saw it. He had him out there on the floor. While he did not start, maybe you're asking why is he starting? Tobias is going to start. Jordan Poole got benched, by the way. He didn't start.
I saw that.
Yeah. So for a guy like Nick Nurse, we were sitting there and it was like, yo, they're making this run and Tobias is stuck to the bench. He was like, yeah, because we're like, yeah, he's stinking it up. But Nick Nurse did it. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a coach actually do it. And he did it. He benched him for that short time, but he had to go to him and he brought him back in. So,
but if you're trying to say like he should not start the game tomorrow, that's just not going to happen.
No, it's not. No, he's going to start. Continuing, Nurse, why does your defensive scheme consist of you having a big doubling at the 3-point line when you struggle with giving up offensive rebounds? I think it's more of what the offense is running as to why Precious Achiuwa is playing the 5. He can shoot.
Yeah.
You got to close out. You got to get out there and respect that, because he did knock down 2 early threes that hurt the Sixers from the corner, from the wing. You have to close out on that big. If it's Jericho Sims, that's one thing. But you also need your big to close out, because if it's a ball handler who is capable of hitting a three-pointer, he comes around that screen, there's no resistance there. He's just shooting a wide open three. So you have to have those guys hedge out and close out. It's just a matter of the drop back and the coverage on the back end to also help.
Yeah. And look, Brunson's had some games too. Like when you're talking about the ball handler in some of those situations, Brunson's had games where he will pick you apart. So I understand the aggressive scheme coming in.
Yeah, he's Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
You got to pay
really
attention
good.
to that one.
Really good.
Larry Love. What up, Larry? Larry Love. Batum averages 6 points. PJ was at 8 points. Batum has length and is a higher IQ passer, but can't keep people in front of him. He has a quick shot. Not a starter anywhere else in the association. Neither is PJ. Buddy can't defend. Buddy Hield. Thanks for the conversation, Larry. Appreciate the donation in the super chat.
So PJ averaged 4 points per game in his first season with the Sixers and 2 in a couple of games he was here before being traded. So he definitely didn't average 8.
No, he did not. He averaged half of that.
Half of 8. Not even, because it was really 3.5. I was nice.
He didn't even average 8 for his career in the Sixers uniform.
No. He averaged 6.7 for his career. His high was 9.4.
In the Sixers uniform.
Oh, no, not
for
even
the
close.
year and a half combined. No, he did not.
So you're overstating that a tiny bit. And look, Nick Batum is a better offensive player than PJ Tucker. He'll put the ball on the floor better. He'll make decisions off the bounce better. He'll make, swing the ball around better. He'll shoot better. He'll make entry passes better. Like, PJ Tucker was a stand in the corner, shoot a 3, and crash an offensive rebound, and that was it. Nick Batum does more of the connective stuff. The problem is right now, you don't have like 2 stars to connect to each other. You need somebody to step up and create shots, not be a connective piece. He looks a little out of place. Also, he was playing his first game in 3 weeks.
Yep.
I get the frustration. We had a lot of low usage role players come through here of late. I think if Nick Batum was playing consistent basketball and was playing with Joel Embiid, I think the tenor of the conversation right now would be a little bit different. I still think he is a good piece when in the optimal role. He's just not in that right now, and he's very, very rusty. But his defensive point isn't wrong. Like, his defense is not what it was a couple years ago, and it certainly isn't what it was in the prime. I do worry about that a little bit, especially when you're talking about a lineup that includes Tyrese Maxey and Buddy Hield on the perimeter. Like, there are a lot of defensive concerns in there. You start looking at it, even when healthy, Tobias Harris might be your second best defender in that starting lineup, which is part of it's a concern for 2 reasons. 1, he's not that good of a defender. 2, he's not that good of an off-ball defender. And 3, there's just a lot of weak defenders on the perimeter. That is one thing we've talked about a lot. That's one thing we'll talk about going forward. So I agree with some of his points in that, like I said, Batum's perimeter defense isn't what it used to be. I think that can be exploited in the playoffs. I do think offensively he will look better when Joel returns, though.
And as you say that, we think, thank you again, Larry, for the super chat. Let's go to Cannoli, because he kind of jumps into the Embiid part. Why are the Sixers so bad without Embiid?
Well,
start with the MVP part.
There's
pretty
a reason,
damn good.
Like that's most valuable player. So when you take that off, look.
If Jokic wasn't on the floor for the Nuggets for an extended period of time, as good as their pieces are around them, they would probably struggle too.
Yeah, but I do think they have more offensive options.
Sure.
Like, it's part of the benefit of building around an elite passer like Jokic is you then go out and target players who can ramp up. We've mentioned all year that the Sixers have just enough to get by in terms of shot creation and in terms of defense and rebounding, especially interior defense. And you remove one piece, whether that was Tyrese Maxey earlier in the year, whether that's Joel Embiid now, and everything sort of falls apart. Everyone looks like they're a little bit out of a role. It looks like you don't have enough defenders. It looks like you don't have enough shot creators. Part of the reason is right now, Daryl Morey kept his trade pieces to not go in for a third piece now because he thinks there'll be a better one available in the future. Part of that comes with, all right, then you're trying to make do with a lot of role players. And when you remove the star who puts everybody into their proper role, everybody just looks out of place. And that's just sort of the construction of the team. It's, like I said, in part because Daryl Morey hasn't put all of his chips in yet. He didn't think there was anybody worth putting all of those chips into, and that's sort of the consequence of that.
All right, let's. We have a few more before we get out of here. Let's go to Biggie 545. Keeping it positive. Tobias expires at the end of the season.
He does.
Enough said, Big. Enough said.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
what
I
the
said,
hell?
I have so much fatigue talking about Tobias because, like,
go back to some of our old episodes and hear the rants.
But like, I would love to be happy with Tobias's play because, like, being a good teammate does matter and it makes me want to root for you and all that stuff. But you can't defend what we just saw on the court. We can't defend what he just saw against the Wizards. It's just, you need more from somebody that you've invested so many resources in. And it's frustrating, but you can't change it. To his point, it does expire. So at least we have that.
And one thing that we've talked about before when it gets to this Tobias Harris conversation, the guy is a nice guy. Very nice guy.
But you don't get $40 million for being nice. Otherwise, Devon would be the richest MFer in the city.
And I certainly would put the shots up.
Yes.
Squeeze off, man. Get those shots off. All right, let's get to these final ones from You a Fraud. Is he talking about Tobias Harris? That's his name, but You a Fraud. Daryl Morey should be head of Sixers scouting department, not the general manager. Well, he still scouts.
Yeah, but I mean,
as a general manager, you lean on your scouting department, but he also scouts.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I think he's basically saying he should be demoted.
I know, but I'm just to the point. I'm saying the man does scout even as the general manager.
Which is funny because who's their second in charge?
Elton Brand.
I don't think that's what people are calling for. I don't think they're looking for a repeat of the EB era.
Nah.
It's really wild because I feel like in the 4 games after the trade deadline, the fan base was generally okay with what they did.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they come out and they look like complete dipshits for a half of play. And now everyone's back on the, man, fire Morey, blah, 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 tear it all down.
That's why I love this town.
There's a little bit of a roller coaster here.
In general.
That's fine. Look, I think Daryl, and really it's not people changing their opinion after each win or loss. It's just different people being vocal.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure that You a Fraud has been critical or at the very least non-committed on Daryl for a while. And this is an example where he can lean on that. And the only way Daryl's going to change those people's opinions is by winning. Like he's got to go out. Like maybe they have the pieces this year, maybe they don't. But if they don't, he has to go out with the cap space, with the draft picks, what have you. He's got to make a move that people believe in and win. And it's the same thing with Joel. There's just no way to change it until they win.
Absolutely. We all silly like the mayor.